Alright, what is going on? Shiro here. I am gonna do my first ever attempt at a deck profile video. To my knowledge, I have not attempted one so far. But this one is gonna be for Transformers. So this past weekend, there was a local tournament. It was very small. There were probably about like 6 of us playing. Typical Swiss format, to my best knowledge. And it went pretty well. I had a fun time there. I really didn't expect to win. Honestly, I went there just to play test the deck that I was running. So I really didn't have any high expectations. For the most part, the goal that I wanted out of my deck did happen quite often. Enough to satisfy me, but there are definitely some changes that I want to make. My first match was against someone using Nemesis Prime, and geez, that card is just a monster. It's just so tanky. It's so hard to get rid of, and then by the time that's gone, you're so weakened, and yeah, it was just scary. That was not very good. It came close a few times, but yeah. After that, it was Planes. That one was pretty annoying. It was very hard to deal damage to them, so I did lose those. I lost that game. And then the last player was against somebody running Volcanicus with the Wave 2 Dinobots. And that one, that went 2-1. I won 2 matches, and then he won one of them. He actually got to pop off Volcanicus in the last round as well, but I was still able to pull off the win. And that was a pretty close game. It was pretty fun. So yeah, I'm just going to go through the deck and probably talk about some changes that I want to do. So starting off with the Transformers themselves, we've got Wheeljack. Lovely Wheeljack. Really good ability when you upgrade a card, draw, and then scrap, which helps, get a weapon into your scrap pile so that he can get Bold 3. Wheeljack's just a very good card. Used Jazz. Honestly, I really wasn't too impressed by his performance. Someone did mention to me that when using Jazz, you kind of have to build the deck around him, so that definitely makes sense as to why didn't really work so well with him. A few times, some of his abilities did pop off, but for the most part, it kind of just felt like he was just dead weight. And then whom I would probably call the star of my deck, this is like the reason I wanted to make this deck for, was Bluestreak. Mainly because of this ability in his defense, where if he attacks and you get those, you can flip it back into his alt mode, and he's pretty tanky. 4 defense, he just kind of sits there. So this was the main reason I really wanted to test this deck out. Prior to this, I was running the 3 Bumblebees, and I never really got to play too much with that one. So I just kind of really hastily took out a few cards, put in a few other ones, tried to get a good equal number of orange and blue pips so that I could try to proc that ability. And he got to pop off quite a bit, so I mean, that made me happy. So going into the actual deck, running 3 grenade launchers. I personally kind of feel like this is one of the best weapons in the game, in my opinion, because it deals so much damage, and it goes into the scrap like right afterwards. So that helps with Wheeljack's ability. So I think this is a really good card. 3 Supercharge. Another really good card in my opinion. You get Bold 3. It can help Bluestreak try to get his effect to go off. It helps buff Wheeljack even more. Especially if he has the weapons in the scrap pile. 3 Matrix of Leadership. Now this one, I mostly just attached it to Jazz for the extra effect. Also, it gives both orange and blue pips. I have mixed feelings on this card. Like, I think this is a really good card. Because you give everybody Pierce, you give everybody +1 attack when it's on a leader, and you get the +1 by itself. So when I was kind of talking about suggestions about replacing Jazz, one person told me, like, well, you won't be able to use Matrix of Leadership, without Jazz unless you can find another leader. And So I'm kind of on the fence because I could keep it because you don't have to play it on a leader. It just has to be an Autobot. You just get the extra effect when it's on a leader. If I know the rulings properly, I'll probably have to do more research if that's not the case. So I have some mixed feelings with this one. I don't know if I'm going to keep it or not. Then 3, Leap into Battle. I think this is a really good action card. You get your blue pip and you get +3 attack. Almost everybody, I think everybody except, does Jazz turn into ranged? No. So everybody's melee. So Power Sword is just really good. You get Bold 3 if you can combine it with Supercharge or Wheeljack. I mean, it's a good card. So I like that one. 3, Start Your Engines. I feel that any car deck, you need this. One thing I loved about it is it helped keep Bluestreak to flip over into his car mode in case he didn't get the proc on his effect. Also help untap him so that he can flip and then try to attack again. So I really think this is really good for car decks. 3, Force Fields. Honestly, I wasn't too impressed with this. On paper, like it has a really good effect, but honestly, I really didn't. There was only one time that I actually got to use the force field. Otherwise, it kind of just sat there, especially against the Plains deck because they're just pecking at you the entire time. It's like you're never gonna use this. So this really felt like a dead card to me most of the time. So I probably might get rid of it and remove it from the deck. Just wasn't that good for me. 3, Escape Routes. This is from Wave 2. This is one of the newer cards. It has the green pip, which lets you add it to your hand when you swap a card after battle. This helps flip from bot mode into alt mode, so this was another card that I kind of like to have on hand just in case Bluestreak didn't get his effect off after attacking. It did kind of feel cloggy a bit at times. So I might cut this down to 2 instead of 3 because most of the times I feel that I'm using Start Your Engines way more than Escape Route. And this is just kind of like an emergency card. So I might cut that down. 2, Flamethrowers, mostly because I was just trying to find stuff with orange and, other things with bold. I mean, it's a pretty decent card. I'm debating if I should pull it or not. And I'll probably go into my reasonings later, but I might keep it as is. 2, Treasure Hunts. I didn't really get to pull this one off as much as I liked. I think it's because there's just more actions than there are upgrades in my deck right now. So, debating about keeping this in here. One thing that I felt while playing is I really, really needed Brainstorm. I don't have Brainstorm in the deck. I'm already in the 2 ofs. I think I really need 3 Brainstorms because of all the actions that are on here. 2, Turbo Boosters. This is another card that I really liked because if I couldn't get Start Your Engines and say I was able to proc Bluestreak's effect or use Escape Route, I could use Turbo Boosters to help untap him and then, flip him and then try to attack again, hoping to get that proc ability. So I really like Turbo Boosters. I think 2 is a decent number because it's not something that I got to play a lot of, but it definitely came in handy when I needed it at times. So I think 2 is pretty decent. I don't think I would bump that up to 3, so I might leave that as is. 2, Universal Network Access with Wheeljack, Jazz, and Bluestreak. That does equal 23 stars. So these are the other 2 to equal 25. I mean, you get to draw 3 cards. So that's really good. But this is also another reason why I kind of wish I had Brainstorm because I had card advantage for sure, but being able to only play, 1 upgrade or 1 action really felt limiting at times. Otherwise, the draw power was pretty good. In regards to changes, I'm not sure if I would keep Universal Network Access. I think I'm going to replace these with mounted missiles once I get a few more in the mail. So I'm waiting on some of those. 2, Pep Talks. This one kind of felt like a dead card at times because with Universal Network Access, why draw 2 when you can draw 3 instead? So I kind of felt this was a dead card. 2 databanks, another reason why I felt Pep Talk was kind of a dead card at times, because once I attach this, I get to draw 2 each turn. So I think I would leave these here. I thought about increasing the 3, but I think 2 is probably going to be good. So I think I might leave these at 2. 2 secret dealings. You get to draw a card in plan 1, but I really didn't get to use this a lot. So this kind of felt cloggy in my hand too. There wasn't a lot of times where I was able to really play this. So kind of debating on keeping that or just, you know, get rid of it. And then for the one-ofs, Vaporize and Ramming Speed, they're pretty much the same card. They have the exact same effects, but the awesome thing is that you can just swap them out depending on what pips you need. So to kind of help keep things balanced, I just put 1 of each. After I make some changes on the deck, depending on what I may be lacking, you know, I'm either going to pick one or the other. I probably might need to have more, but I mean, these came in handy when I needed them. You know, one person was running Security Console, and then, you know, I got to play them when I needed it. So I didn't feel like there were a lot of times where I desperately needed Ramming Speed or Vaporize. So I kind of think they're good where they're at right now, you know, at 2. So I think that's fine. I really didn't have much problems with that. Now, in regards to who I want to swap Jazz out with, I was kind of thinking of using RC. She's a 5-star, so I could have 3 mountain missiles instead of 2. I mean, her piercing ability is great. Assuming I can get Bluestreak to pop off as many times as I need, he essentially, like, he and Wheeljack could keep defending and taking the attacks until RC can... essentially, I would try to build up RC's attack and then, you know, try to go for the kill with her. So that was one thing that I was considering. A few changes. This isn't final, but these are stuff that I kind of just picked out of my collection that I will kind of want to put in there. 3 attack drones to buff up RC, essentially. Actually, let me get my deck out of the way here, and then we can go through those. Get this clutter out. Just set it aside. So 3 attack drones to buff up RC. I really like the fact that, you know, 3 of these can go in a weapon slot. When you play 1, if you have all 3 in your hand, you can just stack them on immediately. You have the green pip, so you can just put them into your hand as you get them. 2 battle readies, because, again, the more I'm planning on just putting equipments on her, and then, you know, hopefully using battle ready to help buff her up when she finally attacks. 2 mission gears, again, so I can play in action since I have so many in the deck. Plus, it gives her defense to kind of help with that 1 blue. Overall, the amount of blues that I had did help with keeping Bluestreak and Wheeljack alive. Most of the time, Wheeljack was the first one to die because by the time... like, Bluestreak would get some hits on him, but he would last so much. But eventually it got to a point where his ability wouldn't proc, and I wasn't able to untap him to keep going. So I had to get Wheeljack out and, you know, attack with the Bolt 3. And, you know, he became a big target because, well, his ability is so good, and he's got 1 defense, 2 if I can flip him. But, I mean, he did work. Wheeljack did some work, so I think this would be pretty good to kind of help with her defense. Also, the fact that she can switch, you know, you can repair 1 damage. Escape route will help with that because it doesn't have to be a car. It's just any character from bot mode to alt mode. One could argue, why not use rapid conversion? But I like the fact that with escape route, I can, you know, bring it into my hand when I need it if I flip it during battle. Also, because, you know, I've got start your engines, I'm gonna be switching them back. Like, I really feel rapid conversion wasn't really necessary because most of the time I know where I want to go. I want to put them back into alt mode, you know, and then flip them to swing again. 2 equipment enthusiasts, again for draw power, because you know, if I can get RC with 3 of those, and then, you know, maybe the multi-gear, you know, that's 4 cards right there I can draw. So, you know, adding this for the draw power, I think 2 will probably still be pretty good. Plus, it's a white pip, so that helps. 2 brainstorms right now, but I think I would rather place 3, probably. So we'll see. I might see how the ratios go. Field communicator, it's a utility. She gets +1 attack. White pip, which is pretty good, and I can scrap and play a card. And almost everything, you know, I'm gonna want to play probably. So right now I only have the 1 mounted missile, but I do have more coming in. Definitely want to put these on. I like the fact that I can put these in my armor or utility slots, so I can add these to RC. I can add them to anybody, really, and it'll help. So, new designs, not sure if I'm going to stick with this, because even though I can play an upgrade, I feel like most of the actions benefit more because of the flipping effects. So, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to stick with this. And then another ramming speed, because I think as I was going through, I had more orange pips than blue pips, so thought I would swap out the vaporize with another ramming speed. So those are some thoughts that I have. Still on the fence about keeping Matrix of Leadership. Granted, I can't. They're not gonna get the leader buff from it because there's no leaders in here, but you know, it is a +1, and it's an orange and a blue pip, so with Bluestreak, you know, I can just get that, and if I get a white, I'm good. So that's kind of why I want to keep it in there, but really not certain. But yeah, that's my deck profile for this. Unfortunately, I don't have a cool or nifty name to go for this. You know, comments are greatly appreciated if anybody has any ideas, or if anybody has also tried experimenting around with Bluestreak. I really thought he was a pretty cool card. I wasn't too familiar with him from the actual shows, but when I drew this, or when I opened it in the pack and I read this, I just really liked that attack and really wanted to try to see what I could do with it. So, yeah. Definitely will appreciate any comments to kind of see what your thoughts on what changes on the deck might be beneficial. So, yeah. Thanks for watching, and take care.